Hello everyone, welcome to this journey from becoming something to just being life. Welcome to MadMan. Now, I don't know what the fuck is spirituality. I don't know what the fuck is meditation, yoga, and all those fucking things. I just want one thing, and that is to be happy. Now, if you're one of them, this video is for you. Now, before we dive any deep, the first thing that we have to notice is why are we unhappy? Now, just take a moment and ask yourselves, why am I unhappy? Now, probably a girlfriend left you, or you got fired at your job, you don't have any friends to hang out with, your dog died, or whatever kind of reasons you have. So, basically, what you're saying is if your girlfriend did not leave you, or if you did not get fired at a job, or if your dog didn't die, you would be happy. But those situations are not in your favor, and hence you're unhappy. Have you ever noticed that people who think in terms of happiness and unhappiness are the most unhappiest people? Because they have an idea as to how to become happy, what makes them happy, and all those things. But people who do not give much thought to happiness and unhappiness, they just live their life. They are usually happier than people who think in terms of happiness and unhappiness all the time. So, our basic question is not how do I become happy, it is how do I remove my unhappiness. Now, if we all agree that it is our basic question, then let's look at what makes us unhappy. Now, just like many videos that I've done before, it is the same thing that comes into play in all these things, all this suffering, all kind of problems you have and all those things. It is the same basic thing, and that is not being able to totally accept the situation. Now, let's look at it this way. There are two endpoints. One, where you have total acceptance of whatever the situation is. The other end, where you have total unacceptance of whatever the situation is. Now, when you're totally accepting everything, you're totally happy. When you're totally unaccepting everything, you're totally unhappy. Now, you could be anywhere in between these lines, and the more you're towards total acceptance, the more happy you are, and vice versa. Because a human being is always swinging in between these two lines, and on which side you are most of the time determines if you're happy or unhappy most of the time. So, the next inevitable question is, how do I achieve this state? How do I achieve total acceptance? So, my answer to that is you cannot achieve it, because total acceptance is the state of not trying, not forcing, and you cannot force to reach the state of not forcing. You cannot try to reach the state of not trying, but it's something that happens to you. Now, let me tell you this, which might help you to be more accepting of the situation. Now, the thing is this: whatever things you've done in the past, whether it turned out good, whether it turned out bad, whatever it is that you did, it was the most appropriate thing you could do at that moment of time. Let that sink in. Because, see, right and wrong is a concept. Right and wrong is a concept, and it differs from individual to individual. It is heavily dependent on what kind of environment you were brought up in. So now, you take decisions based on your concept of right up until that moment of time. So at the time of taking the decision, you do not know how that decision is going to turn out, but that is the most appropriate decision that you could take at that moment of time. And no one has the control over how that decision is going to turn out. So if it turned out good, if it turned out bad, you did your best. So if you're regretting over something, if you're suffering for something that you did in the past, whatever it is, just accept it was the most appropriate decision that you could have taken at that moment of time according to your concept of what is right and what is wrong until that moment of time. Now that brings another question, which is, sometimes I know what is right, I know what is wrong, but I was angry at that time, and the decision that I took was not something that I would have taken if I was not angry. Now, even then, when you were angry, that was the most appropriate decision that you could have come up with in the state of anger. Even though if you were not angry, you could have taken the decision some other way. But that was not the case. That was not the case. You were angry, and when you were angry, that was the best decision you could have come up with at that moment of time. So, whatever decision you took in the past, that was the most appropriate decision that you could have come up with at that moment of time, in whatever emotion you were in, with the programming of what is right and what is wrong up until that moment of time. So there is nothing to regret about, because the only thing you can do is take decision the way you think is right, and what that decision is going to entail in the future, you do not have any control over that. Now hopefully that will help you accepting the situation a little bit better. Now having said that, thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you got something out of this video. Thank you for your love and support. Thank you.